Hey, welcome to Buckeye Wars. Hey, we're going to take a little trip back to the garage, Bill's garage. Remember I did that video about how we made hydrogen because the chemistry teacher had taught us the recipe of how to make hydrogen in a test tube, light it, and it went whoop. And we ended up taking that hydrogen, exaggerating it, and making the hydrogen balloons. You remember that story. And if not, go back a few videos. Watch it. Oh, it was a good one. Back in Bill's garage, he had a wonderful chemistry set. His dad had access to some chemicals, and instead of having a little bitty jar of it, he had his each chemical in big containers. Do you remember way back in the day where you got Nestle Quick in a tin? And you pop the lid off and you get in there with a spoon and you mix it into your chocolate milk. The chemicals that Bill had were in tins like that. So he had tons of chemicals. Tell you what, mad scientist Bill, good God. I am really surprised that we didn't blow our arms off or get burned by acid or what have you. If I remember correctly, he had a recipe book on chemistry and so forth, but we didn't follow that very often. We just kind of mixed stuff together. But he did have recipes on like how to make acid, and he also had these little test strips that if it was acid, it would turn the test strip black. Now, there was a couple of times where he made acid that was so strong that he went to test it with one of those little test strips, and the test strip dissolved. Oh my God. What was scarier is he would take the mixture, or we would take the mixture, and we would go into his front yard and pour it on a plant just to see what would happen. And really, really weird. Sometimes we would make stuff and pour it on the plant, and he had one plant that he would pour stuff that he thought was super duper 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 strong, toxic, and so forth. And as a result, that plant wasn't doing so well. And then there was another plant that he poured just about everything else on, and by God, that plant was doing well, almost like it was being fertilized or something. But we would also take, those tins for like a pot pie, a little bitty tin that a pot pie would come in, the kind of pot pies that you would put in the oven, and it took like 45 minutes for the pot pie to get done. Anyway, parents back in my day, they saved everything. So we had these pie tins, and we would get into the cupboard that Bill had all his chemicals in. Actually, it was a locked cabinet that when you opened it up, it became shelving, and inside those shelving was all of the little chemicals, and he had a load of chemicals. And there was a couple of stools, a bench, and then above the bench was his cabinet that you'd unlock and open it up, and it was like, all the chemicals we could play with. And we'd mix shit up and put it inside that, just sprinkle it into one of those pie tins, and then we'd walk out into the street and light it. I swear to God, I am so surprised we didn't blow ourselves up. But it was weird because sometimes it wouldn't light at all. Other times it would light and the flame would be a nifty color. Sometimes blue, sometimes red, sometimes purple kind of flames coming up off of it. It was weird. See, neither one of us really knew what we were doing, but we were mad scientists, and scary. And yes, both Bill and I grew to be adults, and we survived it all. But kids, don't do this at home. It was not a good idea.